podcast. It is a huge week in Bear news. I am one of the three amigos over here, minus one. Chris Krogman at Shy Bears 1985, joined by Lucas Barry L underscore Barry 40 or L Barry 40 scores of unders and there's some L's and some unders and some berries. You know my guy Luke.
El Barry 40 score years ago.
That's right. You know my guy. You follow him. You love his tweets. He is probably the one that gets the most Twitter love on this podcast. Our boy Joe Gaither at Joe Gaither 6 is off covering some massive Tallahassee, Tuscaloosa, wherever they're at. Alabama news down there in Holbama. But we are Believe in Monsters at BIM_pod. We are on the Believe Network. That's BLEAV at Believe Network, hosted by myself and Lucas tonight. So, first and foremost, season's over. Ends kind of shitty. But not unexpected, to be honest. Let's be fair. Lucas, what was your final score? I can't recall. I think did you have us winning or no?
I had us winning. Yep. I don't know what my record was this year, but it wasn't good. That is for sure. I had the Bears actually scoring multiple touchdowns too, which didn't happen at all.
No.
We got our ass kicked again to Green Bay.
Yeah. Look, man, Matt LaFleur is a good coach. All the fucking Green Bay fans earlier this year that wanted to fire that dude cracked me up. It could be for the same reasons kind of that a lot of Bears fans wanted Flus fired was Joe Barry, right? Everybody in Green Bay hates Joe Barry, but that seemed to be a fine game for the Packers defense as Bears offense led by the most dynamic quarterback in all the land, or I should say the best running back with an arm in all the land, could not get into the end zone. So Joe Barry's defense looked fine. Yeah, they couldn't get it going. I had us losing, I think, 24-21 or 28-24, something along those lines. I think it was 24-21. But anyway, we couldn't get in the end zone. And Cairo Santos is a very good kicker, so that's I guess that's a blessing.
Man, yeah, if there's one thing you want to take away from this, I guess it's that Santos played well. I don't know. I mean, what do you make overall of the offense? Obviously couldn't do anything. You know, the play design was horrible. The QB play wasn't great. The offensive line probably had its worst game of the season. It was a typical Packers loss on offense. Just everything looked disjointed for a team who had so much momentum and the offensive line who had so much momentum. It was just a typical Packers game, though. I mean, Tevin Jenkins probably had one of the worst games of his career. It was horrible. It was ugly from start to finish. I thought the defense was resilient, but they didn't really play that great either. Chris, how do you make of the defensive performance versus Green Bay? I think they left a lot of points on the field.
I mean, they did. Joe said the same, but
it happens. No, I get it.
You could look at it both ways. You could look at it like, oh, Green Bay could have scored 28 or 30, or they didn't, and they didn't. You know, I mean, Tyreek Stevenson had a great play at the end of the half to knock the dude backwards and keep the clock moving, and that was honestly poor clock management by the Packers. There were several other things that could have gone well for the Packers that didn't. Whether or not you want to say it was just bad luck for the Pack and not good luck for the Bears or whatever, they still didn't score. They still only scored 17 points. Love did put up a hell of a lot of numbers yardage wise. They had a ton of just long passes, long runs after the catch. Tackling looked like shit. Aaron Jones ran all over us again. I feel like it's just like, I don't know, man. It's like maybe like going into like a big exam or something for school and you're just hella nervous and you just suck, even if you know the material and you know what you're going to do. You just have performance anxiety and they just suck against the Packers. That can't continue to happen though. So that's going to be one of the biggest things that Flus has to get over the hump is getting these guys to learn how to win. We've talked about it last year. They have to, and the beginning of this year, they have to learn how to win. They have to learn how to close games out, step on people's necks. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we get going deeper into the podcast. But as far as for this game, I don't know. Again, man, there's some positives, dude. There's some growth to this team. So there's a lot. I mean, the Packers are the youngest team to make the playoffs. It could be, there could be a lot said to Love sitting for 3 years, especially with, the same system being coached by LaFleur. But Bears are also very young. Yeah, this defense is very young. So I think there's a lot of things to be optimistic about moving forward. What do you think of the offensive performance was just putrid. Luke Getsy might be a double agent.
Dude, I don't know. Everything, it just sucks. I mean, it's like it's the most typical Bears way to end a good thing, end a good season, end a good run. Leaving that taste in your mouth, kind of just the way we began is the way we end. Like, it wasn't as bad as week one, but it was pretty freaking bad considering, the growth that the team went through the second half of the season. And to end on that note is just like, come on.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And it leaves a lot of, you're right. There is a lot of growth, but I still feel like it does leave a lot of questions in the offseason about, how this team can handle adversity and kind of step up their game to be in these bigger moments.
What was the over under on wins for the Bears at the beginning of the year? Was it 6.5?
I think it was 7.5. It might have started at 6.5, but I'm pretty sure I always saw it at 7.5.
Okay.
For most of the year.
They finished at 7-10, right?
Yep. So they finished right under that. 7.5.
Yeah.
Still, I guess the good news is they have another last place schedule next year. So,
man, neat. Oh, they go to London too. That was another announcement this week.
Yeah, today.
That didn't go so well last time.
Well, it sucks too. That's one of our home games, and
we have 9 though. So,
yeah, I guess, but still kind of sucks. And then what might suck even more is like if you play the Jags and you're the home team, it's basically a home game for them. So like F you. But I shouldn't say that. Bears fans should travel fairly well. And I think, at least from my experience on Twitter, there's a ton of international Bears fans. So
Bears always travel well.
I shouldn't sell our fan base short because I think we have a nice international representation. So it'll be cool though. I like the overseas games, watching football at 9 a.m. It's not great for the players. For you, it's what, 6?
It's 7. 7:30,
awesome.
I think. 7:30. Yeah. No, it is awesome. It's literally all day football. So
right. Yeah, you might have to set an alarm though. Now you're up early.
Yeah, there's no alarms needed. No, the kids are up. But
Dad, the Bears are playing in London. Wake up.
Get your tea and crumpets, Dad.
It's Tuesday, isn't
it? I'll end up doing a Bluey accent because we watch too much Bluey. It's Australian. So I don't know, man. The Bears-Packers rivalry is not – it makes me sick that they're –
It's not a rivalry anymore.
Play out. Well, moving forward, it doesn't look good either. I mean, they apparently have found another quarterback, and they have the youngest team in the playoffs, and they have a good coach.
Man, LaFleur is a great coach.
It's not good. It's not good at all. It makes me want to die.
Yeah.
And I, every time the good things start to happen, we all forget who owns this team and how. And I don't mean Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love or Matt LaFleur as much as Packer fans want to say that. The McCaskies suck as owners, and until they are no longer owners of the Bears, if there ever comes that day, I just don't have any hope for this team. So that is what has kept me honestly grounded and not as hyped up as some Bears fans yet. And yeah, a lot of the talk on Bears Twitter this week is how negative Bears fandom is, and I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be, but honestly, at the end of the day, this is just a football team. If you live and die by the Chicago Bears, then you don't work for the team, or you don't cover the team, or whatever. Don't, man. Don't let the McCaskies ruin your whole life, dude. That's my only advice as an old man here. Because, yeah, no matter what we do, it just seems to get fucked. So, but yeah, anything else you want to say about the week?
Done talking about the Packers.
97 game, week 18 game, whatever the fuck we're talking about. All right. So after Sunday, Black Monday came and went. Everybody and their mother wanted Flus fired. Backtrack a little bit. The previous few weeks, I could be wrong, but I feel like I was the first one to kind of say, as long as he doubles wins, Flus will be back. And I wavered, of course, because of the Packer loss. And I thought, potentially that could get him fired, but not with his, I get that they didn't lose by that much. They still only lost by a touchdown at the end of the day. They score. They find a way to score at the end of the game, and it could be a tie game. We could have gone into. I mean, you imagine that if they actually did, but yeah, that wasn't going to happen. Anyway, we won't play hypotheticals. So, Flus doesn't get fired Monday. Tuesday,
no news.
Tuesday, no news, and then Wednesday press conference. Wednesday morning,
Luke Getsy fired first.
Bears fire the entire offensive staff except for O-line coach Chris Morgan and tight end coach Jim Day or John Daly. I don't know his name. So yeah, those two guys will be retained. So I guess let's start with Flus. How do you feel about going into 2024 with Flus? Actually, how do you feel about the last 2 years, Lucas?
Not great. I feel like the Bears were outcoached a lot. I know the locker room aspect of it is obviously huge, and I do think he's done a tremendous job of kind of uniting the locker room, getting the guys to like playing for him. It seems like a lot of the players like the way he runs things because he allows them to speak their mind and takes their advice and that kind of thing. But as for actual coaching, I feel like he's been outcoached a lot, especially versus better teams and better coaches. It's obvious to me. And then obviously the staff he put together was very disappointing. I mean, I don't know. A lot of what the Bears are trying to do now, we're starting to see some of their offensive coordinator candidates, and maybe just the pool wasn't large before, but it makes me wonder, why didn't they try and hire a more experienced offensive coordinator the first time instead of going with this random Luke Getsy guy?
So in the press conference, they said that they went with Getsy because Flus said that was the hardest offense to defend, was the style that Getsy was going to run.
Right. But he's still dipping into that pool with a lot of these candidates now. So I guess my question is, as a defensive-minded coach, you feel like you would want a very strong offensive foundation. But
right.
Instead they're going with an inexperienced coach who never called plays before. Now 2 years later, I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020, but like it fell flat on its face. And honestly, who knows? Like Luke Getsy's performance honestly could have gotten Flus fired in all of this, just because to Poles' point in the presser, the offense was so bad in some gotta have it situations where they couldn't close games that it was just like, you shouldn't even need the defense to close this game because your offense should be able to do something in some of these second halves. So it's like, it's almost a catch-22 that Flutz's offensive coordinator could have potentially also gotten him fired this year.
Yeah,
for some of those losses, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to like what I had been talking about. Like, is Flus affecting the conservative play calling? And maybe not. I mean, it sounds like, Flus during the press conference said something about wanting somebody that's going to be aggressive and go for the throat, more or less. So that definitely wasn't Getsy. I mean, we weren't calling explosive plays, and it's such a weird thing because nobody from like the Shanahan tree or whatever gives any fucks about running the score up or like mollywhopping somebody. So I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. But regardless, kind of back to Flus. So all right.
I feel like this is kind of what we all thought would happen too. I feel like deep down inside, a lot of us knew this would happen, but like a lot of people kind of held on to the hope of us hiring some pie in the sky coach.
I mean, outside of Harbaugh, I don't see, and even then, I think it becomes an issue. We've talked about the problems before with him wanting too much control, rubbing leadership the wrong way, being too big for George McCaskey, more or less. I just never thought that Jim Harbaugh was a real option. It would have been fun, and it was fun to talk about, but I just think he's too big of an icon, or whatever you want to call it, and kind of opposite of Flus, right? He has good coaching, good game management, things like that, but rubs people the wrong way, isn't really good for players after a few seasons, and it sounds like that's not the culture that they want to build, which I don't really have a problem with the culture that they're trying to build. I actually really like the culture that they're trying to build. Looking back at 2 years, when they hired Flus, hits and all that is an acronym or whatever, but the philosophy behind it, the culture that they're trying to put together with it, people who love playing football. I mean, it's obvious that they are getting the guys that they want. And I'm curious, like, okay, so his first year, we talked about how they were very disciplined, didn't have a lot of penalties, but they probably were a little bit more of a veteran team that the calluses hasn't been completely scraped. This year, they did have a lot more younger players, second-year guys, first-year guys. So they were a lot more penalized. So we can get through that, I feel like. And I feel like he's a good leader of men. My question for you, Lucas, is, for the bad coaching decisions or the way we got outcoached, just from the Flus sense, not from the Getsy sense, because obviously he's gone and it doesn't really matter. Do you think that Flus can get better as a head coach with experience in that role? And do you think him having to call plays had anything to do with not being able to be a good general, in terms of like a soldier general, or like an army general? The fuck am I trying to say? Not like a general manager or a general person, but like yeah, you get the point.
Well, I'm going to start at the second point just because I think it's easier to answer. No, because I think the team overall played better when he started calling defensive plays. So whether that's just because of what plays he was calling, or maybe he was more into the game, I don't know. I mean, I think more so just because he's able to implement the ideas he wanted his other coaches to do previously. But now that he had reins of that, we got to see that, like on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, to be honest with you, it is tough to be, to be a specialist on offense or defense, just because, you're either running your whole offense or defense yourself, or you're delegating that to other people. And when he did delegate it to other people, it seemed like they weren't, fulfilling his vision exactly how he wanted it. And then obviously when he took over, the defense took off after Williams got fired. So I don't know. I don't think it made him any less good or bad, him calling plays as a head coach, especially because a lot of the game management stuff comes on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like, when to use timeouts, et cetera, et cetera. Your first question is tough to answer, I feel like, because, yes, you would hope he gets better with experience, because if he doesn't, then you probably have bigger issues on your hands. I guess my counter question is kind of what I asked before. How much easier does his job get if the offense holds more of its weight? And, they can get consistent play out of a quarterback and play scheming and play designing aspect of the game. To me, I think that's my kind of $1 million question. And I've told you and Joe before, like, I don't love Flus coming back, but I feel like it could be saved if they hire the right OC. I just don't have confidence that they'll do it because they haven't proven to me that they ever can do anything right. So
here's another thing I wanted to talk about, and I texted you about this morning. Like, I just don't know how things are supposed to line up different. So Flus signed a 4-year contract. So everybody's talking about next year he'll be a lame duck coach, right? Because he'll only have 1 year left after next year. So he's got 2 years now. They completely blew up the roster last year, right? And so what's he supposed to do? He built a good culture. He kept the guys pretty disciplined. They were in a lot of games last year. We talked about how many games that they were close. We talked about how tough they played the Eagles last year. We talked about like the fun games against the Vikings. So what's he supposed to do? And then this year, they double wins from the year before, +1. And, without some fucking absolute shit show collapses, they're in the playoffs. So then, like, all this to say, like, I don't know why we don't, like, what are we supposed to do? Fucking fire somebody every 2 years? Just, like, especially after blowing up an entire roster and then them coming back. And think about, like, they talked about the adversity that they went throughout the season.
But a lot of it was self-inflicted.
That's fine. He still dealt with it. Like, just because you
if you bring it upon yourself, then
just because you fuck some shit up doesn't mean like fixing it isn't good. You can make it worse. They could have he could have completely lost the locker room after Alan Williams, after all the shit that they went through with the coaching shit shows. After all of the losing, they could have completely just tanked, and then yes, he would have gotten absolutely deserved to get fired. I understand that he probably hired the wrong people, but again, he's in the first time seat. We don't know what he had control of, because we still might be suspicious that Poles had full control. So, I mean, again, we're going to go all the way back to the McCaskies, but so
I guess my big thing with this situation is more so I don't think Matt Eberflus deserves to be fired. And I agree with what you're saying. In any normal circumstance, I would say, okay, this guy deserves a 3rd year. But the fact they have the number 1 pick this year and the fact that they're most likely going to take a quarterback, that alone that alone to me is just like, sorry, Matt Eberflus, thank you for your service. This is the NFL. We need to get some guy to develop this quarterback.
Then you have to fire Poles.
I don't agree with that, because how did getting the number 1 pick is a pure like, you shouldn't settle for good when you can shoot for great. And great is out there with this number 1 pick, this highly touted quarterback that you have a chance to draft that you never in your wildest dreams thought you like. Without that pick, it's like all fine and good, but I
All
just
right.
don't. I think that alone is what makes Matt Eberflus dispensable.
But what I'm saying is, if you don't like Eberflus and you don't like everything downwind of Eberflus, you have to blame Ryan because he hired.
But like I
Flus.
said, it's not even about not liking Eberflus. It's just about not having faith that he's going to develop a young quarterback.
But that's putting so much on a defensive coach, dude. You either have a defensive coordinator that becomes a head coach that is a leader and a general manager type person that can be involved with the quarterback development. Caveat being that they hire the right offensive coordinator. The problem is this is the Lovie Smith conundrum: is you can never get the OC right,
but
or you have an offensive or you have an offensive minded head coach. I don't know.
So
I'm not putting up for Flus. I'm not saying he's my guy or
right.
anything like that. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Right. But to go back to what we just said, this actually ironically all ties together because when I said they should fire Eberflus, you said, well, then you have to fire Poles. But back to what you said right before that, we just said, and I said the storm was self-inflicted. Well, much like Poles' storm is self-inflicted on himself for hiring Eberflus, you can still make shit better before it gets worse. So that's kind of my I don't know.
Poles did that.
Poles exactly. Just like
Eberflus, Claypool trade.
Just like Eberflus fucked up all those games they blew and hired all the wrong coaches. And they talked about how he weathered this. Same thing. You could say the GM could weather the storm right here. Whole point about this.
We have to see how he hires the next group of guys.
I mean, at this point, it's not going to happen. But I guess my overall point is Matt Eberflus doesn't deserve to be fired as much as it's a business. You have to do what's best for your business. And just getting that number one pick is so tremendous this year specifically that you want to have everything in place for it. No, this doesn't mean that the number one pick can't be successful, but it definitely increases your risk of it blowing up in your face.
Okay. I mean, we can go round and round on that all day. But at this point, like you said, there's nothing to be done.
There's nothing to be done, but I mean, this is literally the same thing we saw with Fox and Trubisky, with Nagy and Fields. I mean, at this point, you can't go back on it. But this is now the third time in a row you're putting a coach in a vulnerable position with potentially a highly drafted quarterback, and that's where my issue is. So I don't know. They have to get this offensive coordinator right. I've never really thought the fate of a franchise would rely on an offensive coordinator, but here we are.
The fate of a franchise, they're not going to be around for the next 100 fucking years anyway. All right, whatever. No big deal. It is what it is. These guys are back.
Joe Gaither's here.
Joe Gator in the house. How are you, Joseph?
Hey guys.
We're still kind of getting worked into this. We're only halfway through, and we got a lot of shit to talk about still. But our main topic right now is Eberflus is back. Gets he fired? What's your take, friend?
Why is he back? What in the world? What did he do to earn his way back? I'm picking up in the last 30 seconds since I jumped in, and I'm almost home. I'm sorry for the extra noise. I'm picking up that maybe Krugman's fine with it and Lucas is not. Krugman, what the hell, man? What's Matt Eberflus doing back in the building?
Like I told all of you the entire year, he doubles wins. He's going to be back, and it's year 2 of a rebuild where they completely fucking destroyed the roster. And what are we going to do? Keep fucking hiring a new coach every 2 years?
I'm at least in the camp of let's not bring the guy back who had historic 3 historic fourth quarter collapses. And I'm sorry, but you look like absolute dog water against the Green Bay Packers, not once but twice in the season. Okay, I'll give you week 1. I'll give you week 1 just because I'm a nice guy. You can get the pass. But week 18, you get basically, the Packers should have beat us by 4 scores last Sunday.
Did they though? Did they? Let me ask you, what was the final?
What was the final? Was it Bears only scored like 9 points, right?
The Packers scored a whopping 17. Just dog walked us.
Pretty much. It felt like it to me.
Feelings don't score points, Joe.
Hey, well, how many punts did Matt Eberflus's defense force?
One
the entire game against first-year starting quarterback Jordan Love. With how many? With what skill position guys? Did he have any Pro Bowlers on the outside? Any Pro Bowlers in the backfield? Any Pro Bowlers on the offensive line? No, that mediocre ass offense only punted one time. Punted at the end of the game. They missed the field goal and they fucked up their own chance at the end of the half. It should have been way worse.
Yeah, a field goal worse. Hey, but Jordan Love might be a Pro Bowler, sadly.
Okay, sure. And Jordan Love's a nice little player.
The Bears gave up 7.2 yards per play.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have Matt Eberflus.
No, hey, they didn't have Jalen Johnson though.
And why do we not play Jalen Johnson? Because we're afraid of getting him hurt in the last week of the year. Like,
how the fuck should I know?
No, this organization, we've done this dance on the Believe in Monsters podcast on what is Kevin Warren responsible for, and we've gone back and forth. X and Y, how much football decisions does he really have? Kevin Warren is here to build a stadium and to make money. That's all this is. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if this team ever makes the playoffs. In my opinion,
because one. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I'm really back to. You remember where we were the episode before week 1, where we're all freaking out about life is over and the Bears suck? That's where I'm at.
Before week 1.
Yeah, Luke and I were really getting nervous about the Packers week that week, and how off-season training camp didn't really go very well. Yeah, it's gonna be. Hey, go potty. Sorry, I'm getting the dog, getting back in the house. But no, I'm not encouraged whatsoever by this. By keeping Matt Eberflus and firing Luke Getsy. Well, I mean, where have y'all gone on? Oh, we're gonna get a new offensive coordinator and we're gonna make Justin Fields learn his third offense in 4 years, or better yet, we're actually going to trade down from 1 and we're going to get a rookie to come compete with Justin Fields. And no, we're not going to get Caleb Williams. We're going to trade down and it's going to be like Bo fucking Nix to compete with our guy Justin Fields. And we're going to say, look, we're getting competition on the field. Oh,
we haven't gotten there yet, but I don't know. I don't know
how
you drew those conclusions.
In the stupid shit you can ever do.
Where did you draw that conclusion from, dude? The press conference where they blow more smoke than fucking Cheech and Chong?
No, I just don't have any confidence in what we're about to do.
Well,
it seems like the McCaskies have Ryan Poles' hands tied. And is like, oh, do you want to fire Eberflus or not? Oh, you can. And so it's like, well, good luck with the number 1 pick. You're going to trade down probably.
Right, so
Marvin Harrison.
So I do have to ask about this because I honestly, genuinely don't know. I thought it was a little bit off-putting / weird when they mentioned that McCaskey was sitting in on the meeting whether to fire Eberflus. Is that like
that? That's not what he said.
He said he made the decision and him, Kevin Warren, and McCaskey were all on the same page.
Yeah, the same page, not the same meeting.
He mentioned something about this being in the same meeting or something like that. And I was just like, I feel like McCaskey should have no part in that. It's just McCaskey's part in all this is open up your wallet, old man. That's about it. He should have no personnel decisions at all.
Well, that's not this team, so.
I know it's not, but that's why we keep doing the same shit.
I'm swapping Peter, fellas.
Yep.
To Joe's point, I don't know. I watched the whole presser. I feel like Kevin Warren talks a big talk, but I don't know.
I didn't watch any Kevin Warren. I only got a chance to
so-
watch the polls and Eberflus.
The one thing I will say about both Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles is that they're both relatable and they're both very, very well spoken. But
Ryan Poles is so even keel. Like he just
Right.
keeps the same demeanor no matter what.
yeah, now Kevin Warren is very similar, but to I guess to Joe's point, I don't know. A lot of people are very high on Kevin Warren, and to me, it's just it's all big talk until something.
I mean,
comes of
it's
it.
all, dude. It's just because they didn't go the way you wanted to. Like if he would have gotten fired, y'all have been
Well-
like, Kevin Warren's the Jesus. Like,
Well, sure,
it's
but
just
right
because
now
it didn't go the way you wanted to.
All right, well, let me ask you this, Chris. Let me ask you. You're
Well,
keeping Eberflus. Fine. You're keeping Eberflus. What the fuck is going through your mind? You're keeping Eberflus when you could have Mike Vrabel. You could get Bill Belichick. There are coaches out there that have legit. You can go check and see if Jim Harbaugh is interested. The Chargers sure are. We've disagreed on Harbaugh before, but there are markedly objectively better head coaches available right now than Matt Eberflus. And we want to keep giving them some progress because, you went from 2 wins to 6. You went from 3 wins to 6. Good job, buddy, against the shittiest schedule in the NFL. I'm sorry, we got to play the Falcons and the Cardinals. Great. The Vikings twice. We got to end up with the Panthers too. Awesome. He can beat all the shit teams, but as soon as you play anybody that's halfway decent, the team looks like dog shit. I'm sorry. I'm not going to buy anything that Matt Eberflus does over the next six. For passing over on Bill fucking Belichick. Sorry.
Let me ask you. Okay, what's Belichick's record since Brady's been gone?
Not that
Dog,
great.
dog
Still
shit.
better.
Dog shit. No, and Belichick wasn't available when they made this decision. In fact,
He's
they even let
available
Bill
right
Now
He's
he
available
is.
right now, and it is not.
So they
it's
even
not
allowed. They even allowed Belichick to have an end of the year press conference before firing him. You want to talk about a shitty run organization? That was terrible.
It's not too late to fire him and go get Mike Vrabel.
And tell me all about Mike Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel, without a quarterback, has kept the Titans basically irrelevant his entire career. He got Ryan bleeping Tannehill to the AFC title game. Ryan Tannehill is ass. He took them to the AFC title game, and he was up on the Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium before they blew that game.
Then why'd the Titans let him go?
Because they're not very smart.
Okay,
because
so
because they were upset at how he acted at the Patriots ring ceremony or whatever. No, they were seriously. It came out that they were butthurt that Vrabel was celebrating his Hall of Fame induction with the Patriots.
I have no idea. I don't follow.
No, it's that legit came out. So the Titans are another very pissly poor run organization.
Right? Why are we looking at the Titans for our model?
Because you want Mike Vrabel, dude, and they hired him. The fuck? Of course, that's why we're looking at it.
They just got rid of him, man.
But they didn't for he's been there for what, 6, 8, 10 years?
Oh no, 5?
I really don't know, but I don't think it's 5. Ryan Tannehill's
Somewhere in
been in the league
between.
longer than that.
Mike Vrabel was head coach from 2018 to 2013, so that is 6 years.
2018 to 2013.
Or
Yeah,
2018.
he meant 23. He meant 23.
2018.
I said 6, 8, 10. I jumped a lot. There was a movement. I don't pay attention to other
and
teams.
as a head coach, he's 54 and 45. This past year, he went 6-11 when they were, we don't have a quarterback. It's Ryan Tannehill. It's Malik Willis. It's fucking Kentucky boy, Will Levis.
Yeah, so he's had two really good seasons and 4 mediocre seasons.
Shoot, I'll take a 9-7 second in the division.
Man, you can't talk about divisions when the division is ass, dude.
Our division is ass. The Packers.
No, it's not.
The Packers aren't good. The Vikings aren't good.
They're in the playoffs, and Detroit's in the playoffs, and the Vikings were in the playoffs last year.
The Packers are. Let's be honest. They're not a good team.
That 7 seed is not really a playoff team. Do you think the Bears were a playoff team in 2019 when they made as a 7th seed and got their ass kicked by the Saints down in the Superdome? The 7 seed is a TV.
So what do you think? What do you think a 9-7 second in the division at AFC South is? You think that's even a 7 seed when they made they made it? I doubt it.
They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game that year.
I don't even. This isn't even an argument. Vrabel is clearly a better coach. I don't know why we're bickering.
Like, we are keeping an objectively worse coach because he took the bar from below the floor to ankle high. Look, he doubled. It was dog shit. We only had $1, but now we have $2. Are we rich? Are we a rich franchise with $2? No, we're still fucking broke. But you 100% doubled your investment. You're not getting shit with $2.
That's a wild analogy.
Okay, help me then, because nothing that we have done this year. Look, let's be honest with ourselves, Chris. If you take those 3 fourth quarter collapses and you flip them, are the Chicago Bears a playoff team? Yes, they are. Are we talking about getting rid of Justin Fields? No, we're not. The biggest thing is coaching. The coaching disparity is absolutely horrible. It's marred this entire team. Is the talent bad? No, it's not bad. It's a playoff team right now.
What's Justin's fourth quarter look like historically?
Not good.
Dog shit.
Yeah, not shit.
Okay.
So Joe, you missed.
Is that on Eberflus too?
Part of it, a lot of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
How many games have we complained about? Well, they were just hitting the gas and they backed off the gas and they let the team back in. And then when they try to put the gas back on, that's where Justin Fields messed up. We've done that a bunch of times. We've had that conversation a ton of times.
Man, if he's that soft that backing off the gas makes him fumble and throw interceptions, I don't want that.
Get rid of him anyways. I'm fine with getting rid of him. Use the number 1 pick. Look, this past Sunday, it should have been fired. Goodbye, Justin Fields, and everyone should be fired. And sorry, Justin, thanks for saying goodbye. Like, he said goodbye to Chicago. That should be it. And
that was cool. That was cool that he was on the London promotion, though.
Roquan was on last year's, or whenever that was.
That's hilarious.
They traded him.
They probably filmed it
they probably filmed it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hey, Bears, you're going to London. Do you know if you're going to keep Justin Fields? I don't know. Just throw him out there anyway.
So,
Chris.
Joe, we get it. The Bears have done this before. You're upset, but they kept Matt Eberflus, so we can bitch and moan about it. But like I said, I think now the fate of the franchise relies on whoever they hire to coach the offense / a new quarterback potentially.
Excuse me.
All right. Moving on to OC candidates. Before we get talking about the actual interviews that we have, I read an Athletic article. Adam Johns threw 14 freaking names out there. So we'll do rapid fire. Give me a quick yes, no on these names, and then we'll get into the 2 candidates that are scheduled. So the problem with this is whether or not you keep Fields or not. So let's assume we're not keeping Fields. All right. We'll just assume we're not. All right. Agreed? Mm-hmm. Everybody got the rules? All right. Greg Roman.
No. If you're not keeping Fields, no.
Frank Reich.
No.
Eric Bieniemy.
Yes.
Okay. Thomas Brown, Panthers offensive coordinator.
Joe said no, yes. I'm saying no for this guy. I don't know too much about him, but
no. He said no, yes to Bieniemy.
Yeah, yes to Bieniemy, no to Frank Reich, no to Greg.
Right. Yeah, I think you're both on the same page. Thomas Brown is the OC for the Panthers. I have no fucking clue why he's even on this list.
I know he's pretty popular in coaching circles, but I'm going to say no.
He's part of the Shanahan McVay tree. He was in the Rams. He was the Rams assistant head coach in 21-22.
Joe says he doesn't want anyone from the Panthers.
Yeah, no way.
I am with you guys so far. Frank Reich's the only one that's semi-interesting in the first 4. Jim Caldwell, that's a hell no for me. Don't know why he's on this list.
Oh. I'll say maybe.
Wow. Okay. Kellen Moore.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, for me too. Daryl Bevel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Marcus Brady, Eagles senior offensive assistant.
No.
No.
I don't know enough about him. I read it, but
I want a play caller. Not a belly itcher. I want a play caller, not an assistant offensive assistant or whatever.
He was the OC in 22 for the Colts before everybody got fired and Jeff Saturday came in.
Nope.
I'm just saying he's been a play caller. Brian Callahan, Bengals OC.
Yes, but he's getting he has 5 head coaching interviews already. I don't think he's going to be.
He also does not call plays. So
yeah,
just a heads
interesting.
up
there. He does have I think he either has 4 or 5 head coaching interviews already scheduled though.
That's fucking wild. Clint Kubiak.
Yes.
That's Gary's son?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me that.
Yeah.
Bears have an interview scheduled with him.
That is one of the scheduled interviews. We'll talk more about that. Mike LaFleur.
Yes.
I don't know who that is. Sorry.
He's the Rams offensive coordinator, little brother of Matt.
Did he coach for the Jets too? Or is there another LaFleur that was on the Jets?
No, that's the Jets guy.
LaFleur.
Okay. Yeah. I do like Mike LaFleur.
I'm a no for that because I don't want anything to do with anything up north because that already didn't go well. You're either going to have the little brother syndrome where he's going to want to beat up big brother and it's not going to go well, or he's going to be another double agent and just give everything away. I'm joking. Zach Robinson, Rams passing game coordinator, quarterbacks coach.
No.
Yeah, long shot for me. Frank Smith, he actually was here in Chicago for a smidgen. He's the Dolphins OC.
Yeah, we got rid of him when I think he was here with John Fox, right?
He was the tight end coach under Foxy. Yep. And then Cliff Kingsbury is the last one on Johnsy's list. I think this was pre-Carroll, most likely. That's why the other one that we're going to talk about isn't on here. Kingsbury.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, for me.
As long as
they're drafting Caleb.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool. I think we're all pretty much on the same page with all of these OC candidates. Joe, I don't know much about either of these. Do you? Most of these guys? I don't know enough about them.
Why didn't I didn't hear Bobby Slowick come to your brain?
Probably because he's getting too many head coaching candidates.
So another good quality coach that we're passing over.
All right, we're past that part of the program. Just because you were late doesn't mean you get the bitch for an extra hour, bro.
Give me Eric Bieniemy.
We got places to be and people to get pissed off outside of Chicago. Eric Bieniemy is your choice out of these 14.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate that. I asked Lucas this earlier. Do you think Bieniemy gets head coaching considerations, Joe?
The Commanders still haven't gotten rid of Ron Rivera, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
They did. So yeah, I think he's going to get considerations right there.
Okay.
I think he'll get considerations right there. Yeah.
My other thing I said to Lucas, and Lucas said he's thought about this as well, and I don't know why I never thought about this, but Ryan Poles worked with Bieniemy in Kansas City, but decided not to interview him for Eberflus's job originally. Does that make you think that Bieniemy has any chance here in Chicago if Poles didn't even want him then?
It's probably a bad sign.
Yeah, doesn't look good, John. Okay. So of these guys, Clint Kubiak is my dude.
Yes.
Bears
just requested to interview him tonight.
I love the Kubiaks. I love the original Shanahan tree. I love the outside zone. They make running backs look like gods. And they have built a great passing attack off of that outside zone. You guys know how much I love the outside zone, and I think we are very well built to run it, and we already have Chris Morgan, who knows it very well as well. So I think it just makes a lot of sense. Most of these guys, in fact, most of the NFL runs this system now. So The funny thing that like, and Adam Hogue brought it up that, Getsy is part of this tree essentially, but he runs it more like a Mike McCarthy style than he does like with outside zone and stuff like that. So I thought that
we didn't really run as much outside zone as we all thought.
Fuck no, we didn't. We didn't run it at all. But so the guy that isn't on this list, and the first guy that we'll talk about since we have OC interviews scheduled, is Mr. Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, but he has been told he can look for a job elsewhere because Pete Carroll got fired. I'm sure he's a better coach than Eberflus as well that Joe wants to hire. But he'll probably go back to USC, and Lincoln Riley will be back in Oklahoma, and it'll just be a weird fucking cycle. Joking. So Shane Waldron, I'm told, moves the pocket more than anybody on the planet. He's also essentially from this same fucking tree.
Yeah, he worked for McVay, right, in the Super Bowl team. I think he was like the pass game coordinator or something.
Something like that.
Titans coach for McVay in 2017. In 2018, he was passing game coordinator for LaFleur and the Titans. And then he was back to offensive line. Waldron promoted to quarterbacks coach after Zach Taylor went to the Bengals. So he went back to the Rams.
Yep. And then he had 3 years of OC in Seattle, and he helped revive Geno Smith's career.
He actually made Drew Lock look decent when he had to play too.
No, I like Shane Waldron a lot, actually. I think he was, believe it or not, he was atop a lot of Bears fans' wish list, and I just thought a lot of us didn't think it would happen. But obviously with Pete Carroll getting let go, he became available, and it seems like the Bears kind of pounced on that immediately. They scheduled the interview within hours of that firing. So
yep. Same day as the presser, I think. Joe, one thing you did miss is we talked about Flus hiring Getsy and why he did that as opposed to any of the guys he's talking to now, which he seems to have ties to, or he had ties to Kellen Moore. Why didn't he hire him? So I thought that was an interesting take by Lucas. Yeah. So Shane Waldron seems interesting. I think like he made Geno Smith look good, and Geno Smith was god awful in New York.
Right.
So I one of the things that they talked about in the press conference was the coordinator hirings were almost going to be a joint effort with Poles and Eberflus, which I thought was interesting, and that obviously the biggest faux pas conundrum shit show of the press conference was what Poles meant by the 4 quarterback styles comment, which it wasn't confusing at all at the time, but lots of other people have think that it could be alluding to certain guys in the draft plus Fields and whatever. I think it just meant 4 stylistic differences. But
what the hell are the 4 styles of quarterback, though?
I don't know, man.
Like I've never heard that.
Like a game manager, running quarterback, pocket pass. I don't know, man. Like I'm just saying, like for these 4 types of quarterbacks. That's how I took it. But like I don't think that there is exactly 4. I just think Poles threw out a number, but maybe he had a Freudian slip and he meant 4 fucking guys. I don't know. But Cronin asked him at the end of the press conference, and she said, "Are you saying that there's 4 guys in the first round?" And he said, "No, there's more than that." So I don't know what to make of that then.
Yeah, but he also had no idea of the question. To me, it just seemed like he was playing dumb. I honestly think he slipped up. But it's not nothing we didn't know. There's 3 There's 3 quarterbacks in this draft who are going top 5, and your quarterback on your roster. It's not a far stretch to say, hey, what would you do for Jaden Daniels? What would you do for Drake May? What would you do for Caleb Williams? And what would you do for Justin Fields? I don't think I've been stretch.
But I've been told Caleb Williams is just a bigger or smaller version of Justin Fields, so that's the same person.
Yep, totally.
And Jaden Daniels is a running quarterback too, right? So I mean, I don't know.
Hey, we're keeping Justin Fields, right? He doubled his win total. We don't care if there might be better quarterbacks out there. We don't care if there might be better coaches out there. He doubled his win total, guys. He's doing better.
If this was around the horn, Chris would give you multiple downvotes there, Joe. We're talking about Shane Waldron here.
Oh, well, I thought we were talking about quarterbacks. You just hit me with. You just said a bunch of quarterback names. Look, I don't think the OC. You're gonna have to pair the OC with the right quarterback. So
okay, well, I guess my question for you in this is: are the Bears getting these guys who might have better opportunities elsewhere because they're telling he's going to coach Justin Fields, or do we really think it's like we have the number 1 pick, we're taking a quarterback, you can have your say in said quarterback, and this will be the guy that you staple your career to? I mean, truthfully,
there's no way they're gonna let the OC pick the quarterback.
Well, no, that's not what I meant. I meant more so just like have your input heard and, design an offense around this guy.
No, I think like you said, they're going to ask each one of these guys that they interview for OC, what would your plan be for these quarterbacks? You're right, and lay it out. And they want the other thing that they were going to that I was going to say is they talked a lot about adaptability and people who can make a plan for different types of players. And they were talking specifically about quarterback at the time. Whether or not he slipped up and said it, that's exactly what the fuck the gist of the conversation was, is can you make a plan for different types of players?
But if you were an OC, I mean, on Luke's kind of a question, if you're an OC, why are you taking this job? Because you get the number 1 pick, or you get influence on the number 1 pick. All right, let's say you get influence on the number 1 pick, and you pick, just for conversation's sake, Caleb Williams. It doesn't matter who you want to pick. Drake May, it doesn't matter. You pick Caleb Williams. You now have 1 fucking year. Like, if Eberflus doesn't make the playoffs.
Well, that's what we don't know, Joe. I mean, it's a very hypothetical, but we didn't really talk about this earlier, but I mean, we don't know. Like, they talk about continuity so much that it almost makes you feel like they are giving Ebert, like, even if they won't say it, you got to think they brought him back this year. I don't think there's any chance in hell he's even on the hot seat if they draft a rookie quarterback. That's my take on it, which is fine. If you're going to keep it continuity, keep it all the same. Totally fine. But my large full circle point on this is that the offensive coordinator is going to determine a lot of the future of the Chicago Bears going forward. Because
like you said, Joe, we're only 3 fourth quarter collapses, 3 Justin Fields collapses away from the playoffs. So, maybe a new OC and a quarterback. I just don't understand that. Like, somebody like, I don't think this is your typical lame duck situation. Not with the number 1 pick and a new quarterback.
Right. I mean, this is anything they could have honestly hoped for.
And if you're going into year 3 as a lame duck, then like in 2 years after like a complete rebuild in year 1, you should have just given him a 5-year contract then, because this just seems fucking ridiculous.
Just seems like we're stuck in a cycle.
Oh.
And
that's been the Bears forever, dude. So
yeah. And it's like everything over the last 4 or 5 months was, we're about to have an exciting time as a Bears fan. Everything's going to be, a chance to change. And McCann, no, let's keep the boring ass white guy. Let's keep, same.
Right. Because it's the white guy that's the fucking problem, dude.
No, I mean,
like, dude,
there's nothing to do with race for all our listeners there. It's just like,
well, then why say that? Say vanilla then, because that's what you mean.
Yeah, he's just boring. Let's keep talking about the shits principles for another year.
Man, it's gonna be man. I can't wait.
Look, if I'm wrong, I will happily say I'm wrong.
Bro, you are the roller coaster Bear fan.
Yeah.
Absolute fucking roller coaster. It's great.
I mean, it's the one place in my current life where I can be this way. Yep. The Justin.
You should start like UFC training or something, Joe, just for fun, just to get it out. Like if you're like we talked about before you got on, dude, if you're letting the McCaskies ruin your life like this, like it should.
I hate them.
You should go be an Alabama fan. Just win national championships.
I hate them. I hate them so much.
Yeah. Well,
Virginia, you ruined my life.
It is. Well, then.
Oh,
Man,
it's just
I
like
told her, dude, just go hit her with your car, bro. I can't believe she's 101 years old. That's mind-boggling. I didn't know the devil let you do that.
When you kill your brother and make a deal to take over your daddy's franchise.
So that's what I'm saying, though. Like,
the devil rewards you.
Yeah, I guess the earth is the devil's playground.
Shane Waldron. Good candidate.
I don't know much more. Yeah, good candidate. I'm curious to see how quickly they pull the trigger on somebody.
They said they wanted to get it done quick. The advanced analytics say he's pretty good. I mean, he's basically had the Seahawks right around top 10 in EPA his 3 years calling plays, which is good to see. He calls a lot of screens, a decent amount of them still. Seahawks fans are upset about that, but I think every team hates their OC or DC.
Yeah, somebody called out that I think it was a Schottenheimer before Waldron, and the Seahawks actually had a better EPA under him.
Yeah. Now he does a lot with to help Geno, help the quarterback move the pocket. He
runs slants.
He does run slants. Although I did see his middle of the field usage is like 20th in the NFL. I think the Bears were like 28th. So it's better.
That's a third of a league improvement, bro.
But
that's all Joe wants. Just get better by like a third.
If you have $1, now you have $3.
Well, you have $1.33.
All right, so back to Joe's analogy real quick. Joe said if you had $1 and you double it, you have $2. So if the Bears doubled 8 wins, they'd have $4. You'd have 14 wins equals $4. Still not a lot of money for that many wins.
Yeah, that's why I said it was a wild analogy.
My point is basically that the doubled wins doesn't amount to anything. It doesn't matter.
It's not just that. It is not just that.
Then
that is another. I tried, but you're unhelpable, dude. You're a roller coaster. There's no fucking patience at all. Zero.
Okay, let's look at the schedule just real quick. This will be 2 seconds. Look at the schedule.
No.
Which one of these wins? Which one of these doubled wins is a quality win? Who did you beat? Oh, one. Detroit Lions, week 14.
What pick did they have last year? Their own pick.
Detroit Lions, week 14. There's your quality win. Outside of that, you should be smacking the Commanders. They're fucking ass. You should be beating the Raiders.
We had the number one pick last year. We were terrible.
You should be beating the Vikings. They're ass. They don't have a quarterback either. You should be beating the Cardinals. Total ass. And you should be beating the Falcons. Total ass. Like, we shouldn't be comparing our, we doubled our win. Which one of those wins do you hang your hat and say, you know what? That's good football. We can play next year.
The Lions.
Week 14, the Lions.
Browns.
No, you lost. You lost.
That was good football.
And
a very good team.
And you lost.
You asked the question. All right, Joe, to be fair, I think you're being very unfair in this situation. I think if you looked at any very good team schedule, the 10 wins they get or 11 wins they get, I bet you 7 or 8 of them would be against horrible teams. There's not that many good teams in the league. It's not like, there's quite a few teams in the league who just play in horrible divisions and win games. Like the Texans are fun this year, sure. But back to your point, in that horrible division, they're playing the Colts twice. They're playing the Titans. Like you play who's on your schedule. It is what it is.
Right, and every quality team that the Bears played.
I guess my point is, if you looked at a lot of team schedules, you'd be like, oh, they didn't beat anyone.
Like, you lost. You blew a lead to the goddamn Broncos. Like, they're terrible.
So
Yeah, I'm looking at the
was it
Lions
Warren?
schedule right now. They beat the Chiefs by
Kevin
1
Warren brought
point.
it up. Kevin Warren brought it up. They said his time with the Rams, Vermeil went 5-11 his first year, 4-12 in his second year, and 13-3 in his third year. So if you'd have fired him after 2 years, which is essentially what we're doing here with fucking Eberflus in your dream scenario, Joe, they ain't winning the Super Bowl in the next year.
They're not winning the Super Bowl next year, anyways.
Who is it? The Rams?
The Bears. This is Look, Matt Eberflus will never win this division. I'll say that he will never win.
Oh
this
my
division.
God. Okay, man. Or what? Or what?
Mark
Or what? Or what?
Luke,
Okay. Or what?
I don't know.
Or what? Or what? Or what?
What do you want it to be? I don't care. What do you want it to be? Luke, write a little note. We're pulling this clip. Matt Eberflus will never win the NFC North.
What if he goes to like the Packers as the defensive coordinator? And they
There's
win?
a loophole. And you're in that case, you're right. He will. You mark it down at 106. He will never win the NFC North as head coach as the Chicago Bears.
All right, if he wins the North, we get us Caleb Williams jerseys.
Sure.
Chris and I.
White and blue for both of you. I don't give a shit. He will never do it.
Oh man, what if he does it next year? That'd be so good.
That's why I'm saying it, Chris. We're going to be pulling this clip a year from now. When Caleb Williams wins 11 games, the Bears' last place schedule.
12.
I'm going to have a full wardrobe of Caleb Williams jerseys.
White, blue, orange, I don't care. Vintage, it's not happening.
We're getting all 4 jerseys. Joe's gonna have to get 8 jerseys.
Stripes, it doesn't matter.
Joe, how's your Mitch Trubisky jersey?
It is clean in the back of my closet.
And that Justin Fields jersey?
It's hanging right there next to it with my 39 Eddie Jackson.
Yeah, I don't have any of those guys.
You're smarter than I am.
I know.
That's a fucking ass.
I know. That's why I'm not melting down about this.
All right, we need to get on to our next coach.
Oh yeah, my guy Clint Kubiak.
What's his middle name?
Running his. Oh, it's probably Kyle, dude, and he's got a KKK name. Kyle Kubiak. No, I have no idea what his middle name is, but I love the Kubiaks. Gary came to Denver and took Peyton Manning to the Super Bowl. He was fun in Houston as well. Arian Foster went bananas in that system. I think we have what's his name? Khalil Herbert is fantastic at outside zone, and I think Roshan would be very good in that system as well. Fucking even Foreman was good in that system. I don't think Foreman's back. He was a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, this is I love the list of names the Bears are putting together for their OC. I'm not trying to go full homer, but I do think this is a good list of candidates. Both guys so far are from that Shanahan style, which we expected when they kept Chris Morgan. Both guys have play calling experience. I think Kubiak's really interesting because I think there's a ton of untapped potential there just because he got the OC job in Minnesota. Then they hired O'Connell, right? And he was fired. What happened with that again? He was the Vikings OC, and then he got fired, and now he's back with
San Francisco.
He's back with he's back with San Fran. But he got a raw deal in Minnesota. They didn't really give him like a fair chance.
Yeah, I was reading that earlier, but now I can't remember. Oh yeah, here we go.
I like his daddy. I like his dad's offensive approach. I don't know enough about him, but I know his dad. His dad was, right out of the Shanahan tree. Shanahan's right hand man.
They can't even interview Darrell Bevell until they're out of the playoffs, right?
I'm not sure because I'm not sure how it works with offensive coordinators.
So Kubiak was hired by his father in 2016 with the Broncos, retained by Vance Joseph, who joined his father in Minnesota as the Vikings QB coach. Gary was the assistant head coach under Zimmer. Stefanski was the OC. Stefanski left. Kubiak became the OC. Gary became the OC in Minnesota in 2021. Father retired. And then Clint took over. Kirk Cousins had a 4,200 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions for 103.1 passer rating. After a year on Hackett's staff with the Broncos, Kubiak returned to the coaching tree. Shanahan. What happened with? Did Zimmer get fired?
Yeah, that's what it was. And
That's
then I
what
think O'Connell came over and then he went back.
Yeah.
But like you said, Cousins had an amazing year that year.
Yeah.
So far, two very good candidates for the Bears. Two guys I would trust the young quarterback with, I think.
I mean, Bevel's probably the best quarterback developer of these names that were listed out. He would be very high on my list, but he's worked with Brett Favre, Brad Johnson, Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, Trevor Lawrence, and Tua. That's a pretty good list.
Yeah, I remember him as OC. Wasn't the OC of the Lions for a bit?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't great in that role, but I do think he's been around. He's at least been around for a while and worked with a lot of quarterbacks, which is good.
I mean, Kubiak's 36, man. So is Mike LaFleur.
Yeah, and Waldron's pretty young too. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how fast the Bears move on this, how many people they interview. I would be really shocked if they didn't interview Kellen Moore, but who knows?
What I find interesting is, and I know it's vital here, and we don't know what's going to happen with play calling next year, but like, who the defensive coordinator is going to be?
Matt Eberflus.
As it should be.
He is the head coach, Joe.
I think
he's going to call the defense.
That's not what I said, though.
As it should be.
Then it doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is because they're not calling the defense.
I think they should just move Phil Snow there if that's the move. He's the guy that was doing a lot of the prep and legwork, and the defense really took off when he came into the picture. So I don't know why they would change that up too much.
Allowed 7 yards per play to Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers on the last week.
He's a good coach. He is a good coach. Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris. Packers games matter to me. Maybe they don't matter to you because you're dead inside, but they matter to me.
Yeah, man, you can't hang your hat on one game, bro.
I'm hanging it on 2.
No, you're not.
It's 2, week 1 and week 18. The difference was nothing. Literally the exact same team in 18 weeks apart.
That's not true.
Okay, they didn't get run on as much in week 18 as they did in week number 1. But Jordan Love had just as much success.
Probably more in week 18.
Oh, yeah, and that's worse. Not good.
Hey, man, if you want to live your life based on the Packers game, that's fine.
That's why I hate. That's why those 2 weeks are the worst weeks of my life every year.
Well, it's because you make them that way.
Well, I've made Auburn and LSU and Tennessee virtually irrelevant in my heart. I got to have one rival. I don't really care about the Vikings or the Lions, really.
It might be your rivals once again.
Maybe so.
So we're an hour and 15 in here. A lot of mixed emotions. I do have kind of one big concluding thought on all of this, or I guess one more topic I briefly want to touch on. I think this Ian Cunningham thing is fascinating. The fact that he is now a top 2 finalist for the Washington job. It's him and Adam Peters from the 49ers. But if Cunningham gets the job, the Bears will get 2 third-round picks, one this year, one next year, so yay. But more importantly, it will be very interesting to see how this all unfolds because Ian Cunningham has he knows all Ryan Poles' secrets. So with Washington having the number 2 pick in the draft, things could get very, very interesting if he lands that job.
I don't see how. I mean, that just makes Poles' decision easier. Like, pull the fucking trigger.
Oh, I know that, but I just mean, like, I don't know, the posturing. He might not be able to posture as much. Like, I really thought going into this, Washington was a team like, okay, yeah, you really might be able to take everything from them to move down one spot, but I don't know. If there's a guy with all your knowledge sitting there at 2, and I don't know.
That's
I
the
think it
thing
fucks
we
with
talked
any trade you want to pull.
But if you wanted to move down one spot, because we talked about this earlier, like I had said, if you're fine with either quarterback or any 2 of the 3 or 4, whatever, then you could do that. But you guys contested that no, if you know your guy, you take your guy. So you can't risk Cunningham being like, oh, yeah, we're going to take Drake May, or oh, yeah, we're going to take Caleb Williams, and you're fine with the other one and do it, because it ain't never going to work. Right?
Yeah,
you just take your guy and call it a day.
I agree, and I think that's where we are heading towards. But I don't know. I just think it's interesting, but good for Ian Cunningham. That'll be a big loss if he does take a job this offseason. So we'll see what happens there.
I mean, I think we all I think we've all this was another foregone conclusion at the end of last year after he didn't take the Arizona job.
Right.
And we all were looking forward to it, right? I mean, everybody wants 2 third-rounders.
Oh, yeah.
We don't get comp picks because we spend so much in free agency. Free agency is going to be wild, man. I think there are so many free agents this year, assuming they don't get re-signed, which a lot will, but some won't. We'll sign them. Like Chase Allen. Chase Young. God damn it. Every time.
Well, I think that's all I got for tonight, but I would love to hear Joe Gaither sing Bear Down Chicago Bears rendition one more time.
You're just gonna have to dial.
I'll need to hear him sing it one more time.
Why don't you go ahead and sing your Packer song, Joe, since you've become a Packer fan now? Because it ruins your whole week.
No, I'm not a Packer. I hate them. I hate them to my core. I hope the Dallas Cowboys ruin their lives this weekend. I hope so. Mike McCarthy, I usually don't like you, but please ruin those cheeseheads' lives. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Make every play clear the way to victory. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with a might so fearlessly. We'll never forget the way you thrill the nation with your T formation. Bear down, Chicago Bears. And please fire Matt Eberflus tomorrow. You're the pride and joy of Illinois. Chicago Bears.